and be alive. Over to you.
Hello and welcome to everyone once again. Thank you so much for joining this session. Before we even begin, let's do a quick mandatory IT check. I hope you are able to hear me and see me. I hope I am audible and visible. Before we start, let me ask you two very important questions, right? So that will help to set the context of the session. My first question is, how many of you believe that praise is an effective tool to modify child's behavior? And as parents, it is very important for us to regularly praise and regularly encourage our children. How many of you believe that's true? If you think that's true, please give me a yes in the chat box. Do you believe that praise is an effective behavior modification tool for children? If you think that's true, please do write a yes in the chat box. Thank you. Thank you so much. Moving on, my second question is, how many of you think that praise can have both negative and positive effect on children? Do you think praise can have a negative and a positive effect both on children? If that's a yes, give me a yes in the chat box, please, so that I know. If you think no, praise can only have a positive or only a negative effect, then please give me F for false in the chat box. Right. Reading your answers. Thank you so much for replying and thank you so much for participating. If you think that praise can have both negative and positive effect, give me a yes in the chat box. If you think no, praise can only either have positive effect or a negative effect, please give me a no in the chat box. Thank you. So, hello everyone. Welcome once again. I'm Richa Chaturvedi, counseling psychologist and a certified parenting coach. Today we are gathered here to discuss a very important session, a very important topic, which is courage to encourage and the subtle art of praising children and its impact on children. But before I even start, I want to take a moment and thank you all for joining in today because I understand it's a Friday evening, the weekend has just started, and you could be doing absolutely anything else, but you chose to show up, join this meeting, participate, only speaks very highly of your commitment as a parent. And for that you have all my respect, and I'm thankful from the bottom of my heart. So here is my promise. I will make sure that this 1 hour is worth your time and effort. Having said that, I will take just one more moment again to introduce myself quickly to you all. If that's okay with you all, please write okay in the chat box and let me know that this is okay. I'll just take one more minute to introduce myself quickly. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Um, so as I told you, I am Richa Chaturvedi, counseling psychologist, child psychologist, and a certified parenting coach. These are some of my accolades. Moving on to the agenda for today's discussion or today's session, we will talk about three very important things. We will talk about why to praise children and its impact on them. We will talk about different ways of praising children, and we will also cover and touch upon the do's and don'ts of praising children. Now, we will understand all these three things using a lot of case studies, using a lot of examples, and using a lot of scenarios. I don't want this discussion to be barely theoretical because I don't want any one of you to doze off or sleep during the session. So we will keep it interactive and there will be a lot of scenarios, a lot of examples, and a lot of case studies coming your way. Now, some quick ground rules. I want you all to be present with a pen and paper because trust me when I say this, there will be a lot of bulb-ons and aha moments during this session. And I want you to note down all those moments while you have them. I want you to be cozy at your computer, by which by no means I mean that you go doze off or sleep. So be present. Participation is the key for sure. Let the session be very lively. Keep answering in the chat box, and I'll make sure that I'm looking at the chat box and monitoring it continuously. The takeaways that you'll have from this session totally depends on how much you're willing to participate. Also, as one of my mentor once said, The way you do anything is the way you do everything. So make sure you participate. The third point is keep an open mind. I understand we all come with a lot of apprehensions, a lot of reservations, but we are diving into a very important topic which will tell you how you can help your child become more confident, more independent, and emotionally mature. So I request you all to keep an open mind and participate in the session. If you need a break, stretch. There are no breaks happening. This is just 1 hour session. And I'm sure shaking a leg and a hand here and there will definitely help. Having said that, let's deep dive into the session and let's get started. Now, before we start, I wanted to start by giving you two different scenarios, right? So this is how it goes. Imagine two girls, both 6 years of age. They are planning or preparing to go to a birthday party with their mom. And one is Anisha, the other one is Myra. And here's how the events before they leave for the birthday party unfolds. Now, for Anisha's mother come to Anisha and tells her, you know what, Anisha, I've been telling you to get ready, get up and get ready. It's always because of you that I get late. Why are you so clumsy? Why can't you do your things on time? I want you to get up, get ready, and come down in just 5 minutes. Anisha gets up, get ready, and comes down. When she's down, her mother sees that she's not wearing her shoes. And here's what she says. Why are you not wearing your shoes? Are you going to go to the birthday party barefoot? Is it what you're planning? Go and wear your shoes. Now, Anisha puts on her shoes, and then her mother tells her, now I want you to go and make your hair. There are a few clips in the cupboard. Use those clips and tie your hair properly, but make sure the basket in which the clips are kept do not fall because you're very clumsy and I'm not cleaning any mess you make. Anisha goes to the cupboard, takes out the basket. While she was taking it out, the basket fell. Now she could hear her mother saying from a distance, I knew you are so clumsy. I know you always create a mess. As it is, we are getting late. And now, because of you, I have to clean this mess up. Right? Then she starts cleaning the mess. When she was doing it, she noticed that there was a little stain in the dress that Anisha was wearing. She starts again. You're 6 years. When will you become responsible? When will you learn being responsible? Didn't you see that your dress has a stain? Go and check, go and change it again. I don't want you to go like this in the birthday party. And Aisha goes up, changes the dress once again, comes down, and now they're leaving for the birthday party. As they're leaving, the mother tells her, you better behave yourself, Anisha. I don't want any complaint from anyone as far as you are concerned. Be a very good girl. And Aisha did not say anything. They leave for the birthday party. Now, here is scenario two. Myra is also going to the same birthday party and getting ready. Myra's mother comes up to Myra and says, Myra, we have 30 minutes before we get ready and leave for the party. I want you to get up and get ready. You can choose from the two dresses that we have recently bought. Both looks good on you. Whatever you decide to wear, just wear and come down. Myra says, okay, Mama. She wears the dress she likes, comes down, but she's not wearing any shoes. The mother then says, you know what, Myra? I am absolutely amazing to see that you've already dressed up. Just that, do you want to wear the shoes right now, or do you want to wait until until we leave for the party? Myra thinks for a moment and says, you know what? Let me wear the shoes right now. And she wears the shoes. Her mother tells her there are a few clips, some of your favorite ones also in the cupboard. Go make your hair, use those clips, use the ones that you like, and just come back. Myra goes to the cupboard, and while she was taking out the basket in which the clips were kept, the basket fell. Now, here's how the mother responded. And she could hear her mother talking from a distance, saying, that's absolutely okay, Myra. Just make sure that you pick up all the clips, keep them in the basket, and put the basket back in its place. Myra said, yes, Mama. And she started collecting the clips and she put it in the basket and put the basket back. Now, when she was coming to her mother noticed that there was a small stain on the dress of Myra. The mother says, Myra, I see there's a small stain. Do you want to change your dress Or do you want me to wash it while you are still wearing it and see if we can get rid of the stain? Myra thinks for a moment and says, you know what, I'll go and change the dress. The other one also looks equally pretty on me. Mother says, okay. Myra changes the dress, comes back. They are leaving for the party now. And the mother says, these birthday parties are for you to enjoy. Make sure you have a blast, you enjoy to your fullest. And I know you know how to do it responsibly. So have fun. And Myra says, sure, mom, I'm going to enjoy myself and absolutely have fun. Now, you've heard to both the scenarios. My question to you is, when they reach the party, there are a whole lot of events or games which are taking place. There is dance competition that's happening. There is painting competition that's happening, and the host is inviting children to volunteer and come up for these competitions, nominate themselves because they will get prizes at the end of the competition. Now, who amongst Myra and Anisha, according to you, will raise their hand to go and participate in the competition, or will be hesitant to raise their hand to go and participate in the competition? Tell me in the chat box, please, who according to you will be resistant, will have a little resistance to raise their hands and get up and participate in all the competitions which are happening. What do you think? Anisha or Myra? Yes, there are several reasons for that, and I'm sure you're getting there. I can see people responding in the chat box. Do you think it's Anisha who will be a little reluctant, or do you think Myra who will be a little reluctant? I think it will be Anisha, and you know why? Because as parents, whatever we speak or say to our children become their inner voice. When we label them as clumsy, when we label them as stupid, dumb, or clumsy and things like that, it becomes their inner voice. They might not say it in front of you, but that's what they start believing about themselves. And that is where we affect their self-esteem, we affect their confidence, we affect their independence as parents, right? And I'm just looking at the chat box. Until you answer this question, here's something that I want you to have a look at. A very famous psychotherapist, Nathan Brandon, in his very famous book, The Psychology of Self-Esteem, once said this, and I will not read it as is, but I will put it very simply for you all. When it comes to children or in context of children, he said this means that the child's capacity or ability to take chances, to take risk, totally depends on how the child perceive themselves, how they see themselves. And we are talking here about self-esteem of a child. How, what goals is the child going to have for their future? What value they'll assign, the worth they'll assign to themselves totally depends on how they perceive themselves, their self-esteem, how they look at themselves, right? So tell me, when the self-esteem of a child is so important, what we as parents can do to enhance it? What all can we do to make sure that we are enhancing the self-esteem of our children? Because somewhere down now we know that self-esteem is directly linked to the worth that a child assigns to themselves, to the goals that a child will have for their future. So how do you think, what do you think as parents you can do to enhance the self-esteem of your child? Right. We can do a lot of small things, starting with making sure that we are respecting the feelings of a child, acknowledging it, acknowledging what the child has to say, their opinion. When we acknowledge a child's opinion, they know that they are being heard, they are being listened to, and their opinions value, their opinions matter. When you give choices to your child and ask them to make a choice, you are enhancing independence. You are building an independent child. When you are helping them to find out a solution to a problem, you are building an independent, you are resilient, and an independent, confident child, right? So these are the small things that we can do as parents. But tell me, apart from these things, how else can we help our children build a positive and a realistic self-image. How else do you think we can do it? Apart from doing all these small, small things, which definitely count, how else can we do it? I want you to write in the chat box and let me know how else can we do it. How do you think we can build a positive and a realistic self-image of a child? Right. Apart from all that, we can praise plays a very important role. Do you agree? If you agree, please type agree in the chat box. Do you agree that praise plays a very important role in building the self-esteem of a child? Because that's how we are talking to our child, right? But here's the tricky part about praise. When it comes to praise, they are a little tricky. Sometimes even the most well-meant praise could actually bring about some very uncertain, very unexpected reactions. And I'll tell you how. We'll go through 4 situations, and I would like to know your reactions in the chat box about all those 4 situations. So let's move to situation 1. Suppose you have your friend coming over, your house is a mess, you have a little one and you did not get time to clean your house. Everything is all over the place, it's a mess, and fine, and suddenly you realize you get a call from your friend and she tells you that she's coming over. Now, in a hurry, you pick up everything and you stuff most of the things either in the cupboard, under the table. All have done that somewhere, sometime, under the table, just to make sure that your house at least looks good enough that people can come and enter and sit. So that you are done, your friend comes, and the moment she enters your house, she tells you, amazing, you have kept your place so neat and tidy. I just love it. What would be your first reaction? What would be your reaction to that praise of your friend? Right, you will doubt the praise. For me, I will definitely think in my mind, no, that I am not that organized. I've stuffed things in the cupboard and under the table. You might not want to have a look at. And trust me, I was not willing to do it right now. Either you don't know how good, neat, clean houses look, or you are lying outright. Are you with me? Is it making sense? Now I'm moving on to second situation. Suppose again your friend is coming over and she tells you that she will have dinner. Now you hate cooking, you don't like cooking, you don't want to cook, but your maid is on leave and you have no other option than to get up and cook for your friend. Now you have cooked dinner, your friend comes in, and while you are sitting at the table, your friend has one bite and tells you that you cook delicious food. And she tells you that she's sure you must enjoy cooking because you cook so delicious food. What would be your first reaction? How will you take that praise? What will be the first thing that will come to your mind while hearing to such a praise? For me, the first thing that will come to my mind will be immediate denial. I'll be like, no, I hate cooking. I cooked because you were coming over. Obviously, I will not tell this to her, but I had no plans to cook and I hate cooking. Right? What do you think your reaction will be? Keep putting your thoughts in the chat box. I am monitoring the chat box and it's nice to know that you guys are responding and participating. Thank you so much for that. Now, the third situation is I am working on a project which my boss has given to me in spite of the fact that I've asked him not to, because that project is not my forte. Now, somehow, uh, like you're working on that project and somehow you find help. When you find help, you are able to complete that project and on time and you do a good job. You take that project back to your boss and submits the project. Your boss looks at the project and says, you have done an amazing job. See, I always told you this is what you are made for. This is your forte. And next time, whenever we receive such a project, I want you to raise your hand and claim it. What will be your first thought? What will be your first thought to whatever your boss has just said? Tell me in the chat box. My first thought will be, I will get anxious because I don't want to do such a project. That's not my forte. I've just barely completed one because I got help. I don't want to get into that situation again. So probably my defense would be I'll start avoiding my boss, or at least stop avoiding any conversation related to projects like these. So praise can actually create anxiety and interfere with the activity if not done correctly. The third scenario is, and I'm sure you all must have experienced this, when someone comes to you and praise you for something, your first very immediate thought is, "Isko मुझसे क्या चाहिए? What does this person wants from me? I thought did not do anything." 100% कुछ ना कुछ काम होगा. Have you experienced such a situation where a praise you felt was manipulative? Where you thought it's not praise, but the person is actually looking for something, a favor maybe? If you've been into that situation, please type yes in the chat box. Thank you. Now the question arises, how do I praise? हमने ये तो देख लिया, ये नहीं करना है, वो नहीं करना है, तो करना क्या है? How do I then praise? Now, praise has two very important components, right? The first component is that you have to be very descriptive of whatever you are seeing or whatever you are feeling while you are appreciating that thing, right? So you have to describe with appreciation whatever that is you see and you feel. Okay? And the second important part of praise is that the child, after hearing the appreciation from you, is able to praise yourself, praise himself or herself. Your praise should have the authenticity that the child is able to take that praise and is able to appreciate or praise himself or herself for the same thing. These are the two very important parts of a genuine praise. Now, how do you put it into practice? We will understand through some examples. Let's consider a few examples. Okay. Now, I'll take you through two examples, and first we'll understand the initially what the parent is doing is evaluating and not praising. And then we'll move on to understand how does a parent describe a praise and rather than evaluate, make it more descriptive. Okay. So this is scenario one. A boy comes to his father, shows him the painting, and the father says, "You are becoming an absolute artist. Good job with the drawing." Now, the first thought that the boy has is, "I know I am not so good. Actually, I was just struggling with some ideas some time back." Is he sure that I'm a good artist? The father has evaluated rather than praising the drawing. Now, let's move to scenario two. The girl makes a very beautiful card for the father, and the father says, "You made a beautiful card, very nice." The first thought that the girl has is, does he really like it? Has he seen it? I mean, does he really, is it beautiful? Now, why do these children have dual thoughts? Because we as parents or these people as parents have started evaluating the work that they have done instead of praising it. Now, here's what you do when you are praising the job of your child. You have to describe what you see and what you feel. So if you see the same example, now here the father says, "I see a lot of hard work has gone here. I love the detailing, the color combinations, and I absolutely love the placement of characters, which is very thoughtfully done. It's always a pleasure to see your drawing." That was the first part of the praise. We just learned that you have to describe what you see or what you feel. The second part of the praise was that the child should take your praise and praise himself or herself for the same thing, should get convinced. Here we see the child walks away saying, "I really know how to draw. I think mission accomplished." Let's move on to the second scenario. Here the father says, "This is such a thoughtful card, especially the get well soon message and wishes and the heart that you have made." Now the girl gets happy and she says, "I can really make good thoughtful cards." You see the difference between evaluating and between describing what you see and feel. Now let's take some examples and practice what we have learned. So I will give you some scenarios and you have to tell me whether the praise was helpful praise or unhelpful praise. You can type H for helpful in the chat box or U for unhelpful in the chat box. So the first scenario is your child dresses up all by herself for the first time, stands in front of you to for you to take a note. You look at your child and you say, "Oh my God, you've dressed yourself. What an amazing job." Do you think it is a helpful praise? Do you think it is a helpful praise or do you think it is an unhelpful praise? Type U for unhelpful and H for helpful. Right, it is an unhelpful praise. How can you make it more helpful? By describing what you see. You can tell your child, "I see you have worn your dress by yourself. You have put on the buttons. You have put on the zip of the shorts or the pants. You have arranged for matching shorts. You are wearing them, matching socks, and you are wearing them. I see you have put in a lot of efforts, and you have done an amazing job." That's how you describe what you see. Scenario two, you notice that your child is putting in a lot of efforts to write neatly, right? And he's taking care of the punctuations, he's taking care of all the full stops, the margins, and overall the writing has also improved. Now your child brings in that book to you for you to see and share your thoughts. You look at the book and you say, "What an amazing job you have done. I'm so proud of you." Do you think this is a this is a helpful praise? If you think this is a helpful praise, type H. If you think no, this is not helpful, type U in the chat box, please. Thank you. Thank you. Of course, it is not helpful. The helpful praise would be describing what you see. You can go and tell your child, "I've seen you have made a considerable difference as far as writing is concerned. I see you are taking care of the margins. I see you are using punctuations. You are using capital letters and you are making an effort to make your handwriting better. I think you are putting in a lot of effort and you're doing an amazing job here." That's how you describe what you see. The third scenario, it's the annual day in the school and your child is performing in a play. You are also invited to watch the play. Now, after the play is over, your child comes running to you and asks you, "Mama, how did I do?" And you tell your child that he has done an absolutely amazing job. He was superb in the play. Do you think that's an helpful praise? Do you think that was helpful? No, right? Because you have not described what you've seen. So probably you can go ahead and tell your child that he was loud and clear, you could hear him properly, the expressions were on point, and he did a great job. That is how we do a praise. That is how we describe a praise. Now, here is the bonus tip. Apart from describing the praise, what you can do is you can sum up everything that your child has done, which is praiseworthy, in one or two words, right? And we will understand by examples how you can do that. So for example, let's consider scenario one. And here what we are trying to do is we are trying to sum up everything praiseworthy that your child has done in one word or two words, mostly. Now, in the scenario one, the mother is telling her child that you said you will finish your work at 6 o'clock and it's exactly 6 o'clock and you've completed your work. Now, that's what I called punctuality. What are we doing here? We are describing the situation, we are describing the scenario, and we are also using the word called punctuality to tell that child what he's done good. That ways, we are doing two things. We are telling the child what punctuality means, and we are reinforcing that value in the child that they know how punctuality works, how they need to be punctual. Now, moving on to scenario two. The mother here says you noticed that the clothes were dry and you folded them. Now, that's what I call taking initiative. Again, you are reiterating to your child what does taking initiative means, and you are also telling your child, you are explaining your child how they can take initiative in any situation. So you are actually making 2 points very clear. The third is the mother is saying you were so excited to go to your friend's place, but now even when the plan is cancelled, you have come up with plan B and you are doing something else, and now that's what I call being adaptable. Again, you are telling your child what does adaptability means, and you're also showing your child how they can be more adaptable in the future for any situation or circumstances. Now, you might have questions from whatever we have heard or understood so far. You might have questions like, why do I even praise? मतलब praise करने की जरूरत क्या है? These are the things that the child has to do. It's more like it's their job, it's their duty, and they have to do it. Why do I have to put so much of effort and praise? Why do I do that? Or you might have questions like, my child, what if my child gets used to praise? What if he doesn't or she doesn't do anything until and unless I praise him? How does that work? You might have questions where you feel like, why do I take so much of effort and use descriptive words to praise my child? Words like awesome, superb, thank you, awesome, superb, great, good job are also used when we are appreciating someone. Why can't I do that? I mean, as it is, I don't have a lot of time at hand, and now I have to describe all the praise. You might also have questions like, does these small actions really have a profound impact, really have such a huge impact on the child? I mean, is it seriously that way? So we have discussed a lot of reasons in the past slides, but here to answer all these questions, if you might have, I will give you two very important reasons. The first reason is by these daily, by reaffirming or by telling your child on a day-to-day basis, describing these qualities like adaptability, like punctuality, like perseverance, like resilience to your child, you are actually strengthening these concepts. You are actually strengthening these values in your child. And as parents, are these not the things that we want in our child? Am I right? Does it make sense? If it's making sense, please write MS in the chat box and let me know that it's making sense to you all. We all want these qualities to be in our child. We want our child to be confident. We want our child to be independent. We want our child to be emotionally mature, to be resilient. And by reiterating these qualities again and again, we are making them a strength for a child. We are reinforcing these strengths in the child. We are integrating them in their minds so that it becomes a strength for them. The second is, when you are describing a praise for your child, you are actually filling their emotional bank. And how do you do that? Let me explain it to you. When today, if my child does something good and I tell him that you did a good job, you're a good boy, and say, for example, the next day he does something which is not so good, according to me, and I am not in the best of my moods, I get agitated and I tell him, you're a bad boy, or you made a mistake, you did not do a good job. So I've taken away whatever I told him the other day about being a good boy or doing a good job by saying not that you are not a good boy. But when I describe a praise and create an experience for my child, I am actually filling up their emotional bank because this is an experience that I cannot take from them. For example, I can never take the experience of how my child felt when he handed me a card while I was sick and when he saw me cheering up, from that card. And when I was explaining to him why this card was the best card that I've got, I can never take back that experience from my child. Or when I was telling him how adaptable he is and how adaptability works, I can never take away that experience from my child, right? So these moments or these experiences actually become the touch point for your children for the future. So whenever they are in the future, whenever they are anxious, whenever they are discouraged, whenever they are disheartened, they can come back and refer to these touch points because in the past they have done something for which they were proud of themselves and they know it and they have it in themselves that if I can do it once, I can do it again. And so giving these experiences to a child becomes all the more important as parents. Now, here are some caution about praise. While we have understood what are the do's and don'ts of the praise, here are some things that we need to take care of while praising children. The first thing is we need to make sure that we are using age-appropriate praise and as per the ability of a child to understand. Now, what do I mean by this? If I have a young child and if I tell him that it's amazing that you're taking care of your teeth on a daily basis by brushing them, they might become very happy, and the next time they brush their teeth in the morning, they will come running to you to show it to you, see, mama, I'm brushing my teeth. But the same thing, if you tell your teenage son or daughter, you know what the reaction will be, right? They will come back to you saying, मतलब आप कह रहे हो मैं ब्रश ही नहीं करता, मतलब मैं अपना ध्यान ही नहीं रखता, मतलब you are saying that I don't take care of myself. So you have to make sure that whatever your praise is, it has to be appropriate to your child's age. The second thing that you need to take care of is that you have to avoid using any praise that refer to the past weaknesses or past failures. For example, your child is not scoring very good in maths, say for example, and this time around he does really good. And when he shows you the report card, the first thing that you say is, "चलो marks तो आए, पिछली बार की तरह मुझे लग रहा था इस बार भी नहीं आएंगे." So you have to refrain from saying anything that refers to any past weakness or any past failure. For example, if your child has started playing good cricket, instead of saying, instead of saying that at least finally you started playing, I was wondering when you will play. You can say, I've observed that you are making effort and you are improving your game. Avoid saying anything that refers to past weakness. Do not be overly enthusiastic. For example, if your child paints something and comes back to you to show it to you, please don't tell him that you have done an amazing job as a painter and you will be the next MF Hussain. Refrain yourself from doing that. Don't be overly enthusiastic. What happens when you are overly enthusiastic as a parent is your child becomes anxious because even they are not sure if they will be able to repeat that again. They are not sure if they will be able to match your expectations. And sometimes you must have noticed that children get excited about something, start doing something, and in the middle of it, they just leave it. They don't want to do it anymore. This might be a reason. Sometimes we as parents become overly enthusiastic and start praising our children, and it becomes a burden for them, and they leave it in between. So that's the third thing. The fourth thing is you have to be prepared for a lot of repetition of the same activity that you want to encourage in your child. Trust me when I say this, praise has a compounding effect. Whatever you praise keeps increasing. So whatever you want to see in your child as a quality, if you want your child to be independent, if you want your child to be courageous, if you want your child to be confident, resilient, whatever that is you want to see in your child as a quality, you need to reiterate, need to repeat that again and again. So be ready to do that and see the magic of praise unfolding for you and your child. So, last but not the least, I would say, dear parents, let's change the narrative, at least for our homes. Uh, we notice, and I have noticed this when parents come to us, come to me, especially, I see a lot of parents very enthusiastically talking about their child, what their child has done right, how their child has done this, how their child has taken an initiative and done that. And when I ask them, have they ever told this to their child? They say no. Or even if they do, what they have done is they've told their child, fantastic, amazing, superb. Instead of explaining and describing why what their child did mattered. So as parents, let's make sure that it's good that we enthusiastically talk to others about what our child has done, but let's make sure that we also go to our child and tell our child, explain to them what they've done mattered and why it mattered. What they've done was good and why you're proud of them. Let's make sure we do it because as parents and as human beings, I believe that we are very quick to judge, right? There are 50 things which are going wrong, which are going right, sorry, and pay no heed to it. We'll just ignore them. And there's one thing that happens which is wrong. And you will start saying, Maine pehle kaha tha, I told you this will happen. You always do like this. You have to do this. You have to spoil this. You have to mess it up. ये होना ही था. मुझे पहले feel ही हो रहा था ये होगा. As parents, let's not do that. Let's concentrate on the 50 positive things that your child has done. Let's not be quick to judge. Because you see, whatever we say as parents, when we tell them as parents that you're clumsy or I knew you will create a mess, knowingly or unknowingly, your child will create a mess. And I can assure you, you must have experienced this for a lot of times. Whenever you tell them, do not spill milk, Do not make sure that it doesn't fall. The milk will get spilled. The thing will fall because you are overly criticizing your child now. And so refrain yourself from doing that, because whenever you do that, you are actually building up the self-esteem of your child. And when you build up the self-esteem of your child, which is like a building block to all the other qualities that you want in your child, be it courage, be it confidence, be it perseverance, be it resilience, it is a building block of all the other qualities that you want your child to have. Why? Because self-esteem is something that a child self-esteem is how a child sees himself, how a child believes in himself, how they look at themselves. And that is getting built by how you are talking to them, right? So let's not leave it to chance. And what do I mean when I say let's not leave it to chance? I see a lot of parents saying that हमारे टाइम में हमें भी डांट पिटी थी, मार पड़ती थी, हम भी ठीक हो गए ना, he'll also do it or she'll also do it, हो जाएगा, सब अपने आप हो जाता है, fair enough. What if it doesn't happen? Why do you want to leave the future of your child to any chance, for that matter? Again, why do you, please don't also leave it to strangers. Don't let strangers decide the self-esteem of your child. And by this I mean, I see a lot of parents saying, तारीफ करने में क्या मजा है अगर मैं अपने बच्चे की तारीफ करूं, मजा तो तब है जब दूसरे मेरे बच्चे की तारीफ करें. Why? I ask those parents why. Why are you entrusting the self-esteem of your child in the hands of the stranger who barely knows your child? Let's begin. Let's change the narrative from our home. Let's start from our home. And here is the closing remark. As parents, let me tell you this. There is a world out there. There are a lot of people out there who are ready to tell your child what is wrong with them. They will keep telling your child what is wrong with them, what they can do better, how they can improve, the problems they have, there is a world who's ready to tell it out and loud and very often. As parents, let's make sure that we are not just giving food, shelter, and clothing to our child, but also building their self-esteem by telling them what is right with them, by telling them what is good with them. With this, I would like to thank you all for taking up time and joining this session. And it was amazing to have you all here. Thank you once again and looking forward to connect with you. Thank you.